Good morning, everyone. Or good afternoon, I don't know, but yeah, 12 p.m. So, yeah, should we give it a start, I guess, yeah? 5 minutes late, but at least everyone is here now, yeah? The people meant to be here. So, kia ora, everyone. It's like, yeah, look at the soul, you know, like a tiny group. I expected more people, but it's nice. We're gonna make it happen together. And I hope you will enjoy. So, it's nice to see you all in this starry space. I mean, the star space. This is quite timely, yeah, for the Biodynamics workshop we're about to have. And yeah, it's really good to see everyone sitting down on the ground, actually, yeah? It looks so natural and such a good grounding, yeah? It's really beautiful. Yeah, it's Sunday, it's been a long run for everyone, so I hope everyone embraced like the festival and is not really feeling too tired. Yeah, so yeah, I just wanted to ask you all before to start, how are you today? How are you today again? Again, how are you today? We're gonna raise the frequencies, right? This is what we're here for in the festival, yeah? So much enthusiasm, it's nice to see, yeah? So that should be enough of a show, but let's start because we don't have much time. So let me introduce myself. My name is Florian Rogers. So I came all the way up from Hawke's Bay, the Crownland of New Zealand, right? Yeah, being resilient during winter and sweet during summer, yeah? That will come soon. Yeah, and hopefully we'll be all having a fruitful time together, yeah? It will be a lot to take and I hope you'll stay until the end to embrace the values of biodynamics. So personally, I am conscientiously striving at the personal and professional level for the well-being of a soul and of this world, you know, the balance actually, and trying to bring together all the communities and guide them towards a common and higher purpose. So this is what resonates with me, and I believe we are all a bit on the path. We are all trying to bring the light in such a way. Yeah. So, and like always on the path, what we realize it's not an easy task. There is always obstacles, or there are always obstacles on the way, yeah? And I believe this is what makes us grow. And yeah, we want to see the life in a way that we are trying to overcome the adversities of life, yeah, to make us grow. Before we go any further, I'd like to say a karakia, yeah? I'll try with my Maori accent. Kia hora te marino, kia whakapapa punamu te moana. E huarahi matato I te ranginei. Aroa atu, aroa mai, tato ia tato katoa. Which means, may peace be widespread. May the sea be like green stone, a pathway for a soul this day. Give love, receive love. Let us show respect for each other. Yeah? Beautiful. Yeah. It's a beautiful one. The last one. Makes you melt, yeah? It's really good. Yeah, so first of all, well, this is the end of the festival, but still, we would like to acknowledge the organizers of this festival for having found the strength, the bravery, and the courage to bring forward this festival, yeah? All together sharing this beautiful love. In nearly a month, actually, regarding the actual circumstances, so it is really much appreciated. Yeah. I would like also to acknowledge the lands, the Kumiusha ground, for the last year, but still acknowledging this beautiful lands and space. All the persons hosting a workshop, a stall, or a space, all the volunteers, and the people attending this festival, yeah, for their selfless devotion, for their dedication to impart part of their being and bringing some light to a soul, yeah, like making this festival alive and run smoothly. So deeply appreciated as well. So it is with great satisfaction that we are actually welcomed, hosted, and accompanied with much warmth, consideration, and compassion in this magnificent festival, a conglomerate of divinely beautiful people, right? So, it is rather, I guess, a special journey of a soul, and I hope, again, that everyone is embracing it. This is the last day, we're getting there. First of all, yeah, beautiful. And I forgot the seeds. They're just in my car. I'd like to give you some seeds. I'll explain after what we're gonna do. Yeah, a meditative practice. I'll be back in a second. Oh, sorry. We're back. So I'll pass this on. So all take one seed. Yeah. And please do not eat them yet. Yeah. We'll do something with them later on. And I will introduce it later. You just can pass on the seeds and yeah, and then we have something with this. Okay, let us now focus on what we came for today, yeah? Let us focus on one of these deep practices and delve deeper into biodynamics, yeah? Which I have been involved myself for a few years now. Hopefully permitting one to overcome some of these obstacles I talked about, and ultimately allowing one to delve deeper into its inner being. This is all about this, right? So first, could we have maybe, it's been a long journey, could we have a few breaths together? Because it's been shown and said and experienced, all of this, that if you have at least 3 breaths with longer exhalation than inhalation, that will help to deal with your stress levels and stimulate your vagus nerve, bringing more cognition and more balance in your body. So we could have just 3 breaths together, or even more actually, in your own time, yeah? So longer exhalation is the main key. So here we go. In your own time, you can come back, yeah? Feels good, right? So we can start now. So my dear friends, my dear colleagues, or my dear family, it is a few words which I would like to say. It is a bit of knowledge which I would like to impart. And finally, this is some love which I would like to share, yeah? So let us start first with the few words, yeah? So I'd like to start right from the beginning with a bit of history on biodynamics. Who has heard of biodynamics before? Oh wow, it's popular, yeah? It's really good. So for those that don't know much about it, doesn't know about it yet, we'll start with a bit of history, because I guess it's always interesting to understand where we're coming from and learn from the past experiences in order to move forward, right? We have to acknowledge what we have done, maybe wrongly. So up until the 1870s, a rather broad and deep knowledge was known by people, and in our case, by farmers actually. The fertility of the lands, herbal healings in a much broader way, mythologies, time and life processes unfolding in stars and planetary sequences, yeah? Still held in the days of the week. So this is what we want to acknowledge a bit more today with biodynamics. Yeah. In other words, farmers intuitively knew what to do and when to do it by observing and being more attentive and attuned to the rhythms of nature, out of what we could call like a profound inner knowledge, and usually passed on by the older generations. Yeah, something we're a bit losing nowadays. And moreover, let's go deeper in the history. Especially after the second industrial revolution, a major shift in consciousness arose, and alongside came about a broader scientific and intellectual era and background, which also started to be applied to farming. So the starting point really in the 1840s, Justus von Liebig, if you know him, brought forward a very interesting concept, especially for growers, which is the law of the minimum. which is stating that growth is dictated not by the total of the resources available in the ground, but by the scarcest resource. In other words, the principle can be summed up as the availability of the most available nutrient in the soil is only as important as the least available nutrient in the soil, which is something very interesting, by the way, but which has been understood wrongly, and which has been the first incentives to use specific fertilizers and sprays. And Liebig didn't want to bring this to the world. He stated that this will help to balance out the deficiencies in the soil and nothing else. Yeah. Then, not long after, the famous Alfred Nobel in 1867, this is the next step, stepped in and invented dynamite, which means, by the way, power in Greek. Yeah. And which was a wonderful host for nitrogen, glycerin. And the story becomes interesting further along, actually, with Nobel. He wasn't proud of what he had brought to the world, knowing about the consequences that could fall upon humanity. So he decided to donate his whole wealth out of the dynamite to actually create what we commonly know as the Nobel Prize. Yeah? And which is recognizing the person who conferred the greatest benefit to mankind. Anyway, the story carries on, just with in a nutshell a bit, yeah? Following around the beginning of the 19th century, also knowing that nitrogen and oxygen are present in the soil and are playing a very important part for the plants and for the growth. Some people had the idea or desire to acquire the nitrogen in the air. And someone succeeded, actually. His name is Haber, Fritz Haber. So he brought what we call the Haber process, in which allow by through a metal catalyst, like just briefly, under high pressure and temperature, to artificially bind nitrogen with hydrogen. So bringing nitrogen back, which you can extract then, yeah. And this in the future, unfortunately, resulted in the extensive use of bombs at first, yeah. So meanwhile, and after this disaster of the First World War, and actually thousands of people died because of these processes, all this nitrogen after the war had to find a new way to be explored or to be bought, right? And someone had a brilliant idea. Why not bring it to farming, right? All these steps were the birth, actually, of the use of fertilizers, and such as NPK, for people knowing about it, which is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, and more particularly the nitrogen one, which has been overly used even until nowadays, actually. So what we want to learn from this, although there are remarkable discoveries in science like we have just described, one will have also to remember the remarkable morals and ethics that should come a long way with them, yeah? So unfortunately, from that point on, farming became much more materialistic and totally lost the connection with the universe, yeah, and with the cosmos. So I'd like just to come until today, because we started in a nutshell with this, I'd like to bring us all the way up to today, still facing the same problems, if not worse. So actually, the first industrial revolution was mechanical and was very helpful towards farming, brought many tools and was helping the farmer still attentively listening to the cosmos. The problem started with the second industrial, like I said, revolution, which was technological, with rapid scientific discoveries and mass production, which actually birthed the monoculture of nowadays. By the way, what is the problem with monoculture? What is unfortunate, it's with monoculture, funny enough, nature starts to attack itself. Because the trees are not growing strong and resilient enough, having a lack of nutrients, yet draining the soils. So what's happening actually? It's just nature balancing out. The insects and all the diseases can crawl in. So this is what's happening. Although it's organic, it's biodynamic, you name it, this is not the picture that we wish to see. Yeah. Then we had the third industrial revolution in the 1950s, and this one was digital, such as all the devices we are using until today. which highly accelerating the disconnection from nature, even until today, right? We all have devices and everything. And then we are getting there. The fourth industrial revolution, very recent, just before the 21st century, was, you can say, robotic mechatronic, right? Expanding the interconnectivity and automation such as AI, or even some gene editing and advanced robotics. And now, so far, according to some sources and what's happening in the world, a fifth industrial revolution is actually on the way. And seeking habitat, otherwise, robots or even outer space, yes? And what it is to seek other habitats or going outer space, this is actually the total disconnection from nature. And this is where we are heading if we carry on like this, yeah? With these beautiful spaceships going to Mars, as an example. So if one looks carefully at it through history, it has been a slow process of detaching itself from nature, which carries on even until today. So all these industrial revolutions, although they make contributions, and we acknowledge it, yeah, have been draining, damaging, and hurting our planet, our souls, and all life. Why? If one does not bring awareness to the use of technology, one will do nothing else but harm the environment. So what I wish to convey here is the fact that human principles, morals, and consciousness have not followed the evolution of technology, actually, which is the problem. The wisdom behind the technology, yes, hasn't followed. Bringing to light the challenges we are still facing nowadays. So we are, I believe, all aware of the acceleration of the global warming or climate change, right? So I'm not here today to touch upon these processes, but what does count is to realize that if we, as a whole, we are all heading towards actually a potential danger of scarcity if we don't change the way we think and we act. Yeah. So even our ancestors at that time, 200 years or 150 years ago, they had already noticed that the earthly forces were somehow losing their strength already. Yeah. So the well-being of every single living being today is endangered. So this is how it is, right? And I guess we are all aware about it. But therefore, we're here for the solutions, yeah? What nature needs is to be encouraged and nurtured in such a way that it could unleash its deepest, broadest, and strongest formative forces without damaging its long-term capacity to provide. And we can do so. So we do have hope, actually, and this is what we hear. Already 100 years ago, a century ago, yeah, an urge to direct attention to agriculture arose around the world, birthing new compost-making techniques in indoor back in India, yeah, out of cow dung, like we all commonly know it nowadays. It came from India. Or Albert Howard brought forward, actually, organic farming. And the last one for today, which is the agriculture course, or Biodynamics, which was brought forward by Rudolf Steiner in 1924, so already 100 years ago. Yeah. So it was a worldwide and still feeling of renewal and reconnecting to organic practices which arose. So here, and I heard of the workshop mentioning this book actually. I guess this is a life-changing book. It's called Silent Spring from Rachel Carson in 1962. I strongly recommend to read this book. It talks about all these industrial revolutions and all these industrial practices that we have been practicing around the world. And then she brings a picture forward to bring back traditional farming. But this is very deep, it's a personal experience she describes, and this is really life-changing. So I strongly recommend it.
What was the author's name?
Silent Spring. Yeah, Rachel Carson. C-A-R-S-E-N. Carson. Excuse my accent. Okay, so I think it's already, it's been very technical and brainy, so we have to bring this part, right? We are becoming rather intellectual. But I'd like to bring us back on the feelings. Have you got all the chords in?
Yeah.
You didn't eat it, right? So we'll start the practice with this. So we're going a step forward directly, but I'd like everyone to feel. We've been through this festival with the meditations, and it's now time to bring all of us into a meditation out of the purpose for our seeds and nature. So please, first step, stay still, like always, and try to empty your head from thoughts. Yeah? This is really important to start with. Clear out your mind. And then observe the corn seed in your hands and ask yourself some deep questions. What is it made of? What is the shape of it? Or what is the color of it? Feel free to even close your eyes if you want to picture it deeper. And now, please try to bring an image of the plant or the tree slowly growing out of the seed. What would the fully grown being look like? Then reflect that the earth and the light will actually entice the plant out of the life seed. Try to feel the influence of these forces. Now, interesting. Please start to think that there is something invisible or hidden in the life seed. And please concentrate on this invisible something. What does it look like? Where is it coming from? Finally, ponder on this invisible that will become visible out of the growth, for example. And do it with an intense thinking and feeling. Right, I guess we can stop here. Yeah, or we can carry on a bit. It seems really good. Yeah, I'll stop here because it takes a bit of time usually to manage this to practice this meditation. Yeah, and if you practice this meditation, actually, you could feel an inner burning and growing forces going through you, which is actually inside of the life seed, right? Hence the seeds are growing because there is some life like in our body, a sort of a spirit carrying all of this upwards. Yeah, it's not only about the food and things that we bring, but about the life force which is inside. So yeah, so usually it takes 5 to 10 minutes, and farmers by the past used to do this. I wouldn't say every day, but nearly, because they didn't have all these tools that we have in technology, information, soil tests, but only their feeling and their attentiveness towards gardening. So they wanted to build up this relationship back to nature. Yeah. So this is very important. Yeah? So this meditation, along with others, we've got more than this, but that should be enough for today. Allow the farmer do not actually only farm, but to bring inner living thoughts of the processes of the hidden forces behind the seeds and broadly behind nature. Yeah. In other words, we're trying here to encourage the contemplation of the whole process of nature, which can teach us back a great deal if one listens carefully. And it takes time to build up this relationship, but yeah. So I feel there is an interesting saying here from Albert Einstein, which I guess everyone knows. He said, we can never solve a problem with the same thinking that we created it. Yeah, which is so true. And there is a deeper way that Emil Bock brought it. I like to bring it today because this is intertwined with biodynamics. Only through a new kind of natural scientific thinking, through a spirit enlightened thinking, even about the human organism, can the starting point be created for social action. Yeah. So another way of thinking may be required, and fortunately, the old knowledge is not lost, and humans have just slightly lost the capacity to connect with nature through the growing of our intellect, yeah? So now we can start to reconnect and find the balance in between thinking and feeling, yeah? Both bringing valuable, constructive, and unique impulses. So to do so, one would have to deeply reconnect not only with the microcosm, but also with the macrocosm, encompassing all life, energies, and processes. So actually the Earth, as we see it, resides within the solar system and within the great universe beyond, which we call the firmament. The whole is a unified body with every single part influencing every other part. So the Greeks used the word cosmos, which actually means order or something ordered, for the order of the heavens, which governed the order and of life on the earth. So we see the macrocosm and the microcosm, and like we used to say, as above, so below. So bringing back this order on earth. So people experienced the heavens as the source of these ordering forces within life. For them, the essence of being, of life, originated from the outer cosmos, the fixed stars, where actually beingness exists in timeless eternity. Yeah. So, however, like previously mentioned, the Earth connectedness to these ordering forces of the cosmos has become less strong, resulting in loss of plant health, the loss of the good taste, and the loss of the seed viability. And this one is a very important one, and which were actually the questions which with the farmers came and approached Rudolf Steiner for answers. And this resulted in his giving actually of the agriculture course, Biodynamics in 1924. So, and now we'll go another step deeper. Before to introduce biodynamics, I would like to read the following quote in the biodynamic course actually, to give a feeling about what is the impulse, the deep impulse behind the whole agriculture course. It's actually from Rudolf Steiner out of the lecture 5 in the book. We have to enliven the soil directly by means of organic material that has been conditioned to organize and enliven the solid earth itself, to indicate how this stimulus can be imparted to manure or liquid manure or any other sort of organic matter is the task of spiritual science with respect to agriculture. Spiritual science always looks to the large-scale activities of life and ignores the macroscopic realm and the conclusions drawn from this realm, because this is of less importance. The task of spiritual science is to observe the macrocosm, the broadest dimensions of the workings of nature, and to understand these workings. So this is how we brought it forward, trying to bring the bigger picture. Finally, we're getting there. We'll have some practice soon, But first, let us now, I'd like to introduce briefly Rudolf Steiner, because I'm mentioning his name a lot, and he brought this forward. And then we go straight into biodynamics. So Rudolf Steiner was a philosopher, scientist from the 19th and 20th century. He brought actually many new impulses to the world that some of you may be aware of, and which I would like just to briefly introduce. The main one that people may know are the Steiner schools, whereby the children are being taught and acknowledged through their feeling, thinking, and willing. So out of their will, we want to encourage their thinking and willing, thinking and feeling equally, compared to standard schools. So half of the day, the children will be using their thinking, studying the features such as math, literature, you name it, and the other half of the day, the feeling will be expressed. How? Creativity, through their hands. So building ovens out of clay, the music, and all of this, yeah. So this is really trying to bring back this balance and listening to the deep impulse out of the kids, which are always playful and playful. So we want to playfully teach them. The other one, if some of you may know about it, which is fortunately present in New Zealand, which is called Weleda, W-E, Weleda. This is a medical institution which whose 90% of its curative and care products, all made out of natural compounds or extracted compounds, are certified organic. So medical products, 90% certified organic. Yeah, and this is in New Zealand, in Havelock North, in Hawke's Bay, next to Napier Hastings. Yeah, which is very valuable. Another impulse, interesting as well, is people with special needs, how to treat people with autism and all the spectrum. So Steiner gave many lectures about this as well. And we've got a beautiful institution in New Zealand called Horepa, if some of you know about it, yeah, which is taking care of people with special needs. Maori people have a beautiful word for this, actually, much better than disabled people, yeah? Aren't we all disabled anyway? You know, but I cannot make care products and anything, you know, I'm disabled as well. So in Maori, they call it Taki Watanga, which means people in their own space and time. Aren't we all in our own space and time anyway? Pretty beautiful. So this is a community whereby all the residents or people with special needs live on the community, which is important, yeah? And we want them to live together and embrace their own values and this journey they are onto as well together. And on this community, we've got all the workshops, so much creativity, stone carving, candle workshop, biodynamic farm, native tree nursery. We want them to explore their feelings as broad as possible. And this, very interestingly, brings a lot to their well-being and behaviors. And I guess if I remember the figure very well, 65% of the hardest cases of people with special needs are actually at Horepa, because it works through creativity, what we want to bring to the children as well at school, right? And this is what Biodynamics is trying to bring again through this meditation, the creativity and the feeling, yeah, which we embrace at this festival as well anyway. And now we can talk about, finally, biodynamics. Here we go. So biological dynamic. Biological through the gardening practices and the preparations given by Rudolf Steiner. We will introduce one very soon, yeah? And dynamics linked to the rhythms, the order and the energies of the cosmos. So it is the use of the preparations and practices such as organic, permaculture or regenerative agriculture. All of them are included in this picture, to support and bring forth the ordering formative forces of the cosmos to our soils. Yeah? So biodynamics is an impulse which endeavors to overcome the ongoing degeneration of nature and the land, which enlivens actually the soils through different preparations and makes it more sensitive to the rhythms of the universe. So actually there are three aspects behind biodynamics. The first, like I said, is working with the rhythms of the universe. This is something I have said a lot, but which is very important. We want to attune again to this bigger universe. And yeah, and then the second impulse is the healing of the biodynamic preparations, yeah, and their forces to nurture, strengthen, and enhance the plant world life, quality, and resilience over time. And the last one is the social aspect, which is very important here. And as quoted Johann Goethe, if you know him, I find quite interesting. What is more valuable than gold? Light. And what is more precious than light? Conversation. Biodynamics is favorable to new community forming, whereby all living beings are incorporated. And this is the main point here, which is so important, such as the minerals, the plants, the animals, and humans. Yeah? So a biodynamic farm, for example, is seen as a whole entity, as a whole individuality, like us. Whence all single components play their role, through which the order of the cosmos can be reproduced. So this is very important, this social aspect. We want to bring everyone on this scale, yeah? It's like the animals are playing such a big part through the culture, through the menu, through the grazing, very natural, and through the spirit being carried around. And like the plant world, the minerals, we want to acknowledge all of this. But nowadays we rarely see animal or farming animals on the lands beside the gardens or anything. So this is something we're trying to bring back, yeah? This oneness and togetherness. Anyway. Okay. Are we all sorted? Yeah? Beautiful. 7 circles. I'll pass you on now something more. We talk about the preparation, which is called the 500 preparation, which has been given by Rudolf Steiner. So this is one of the 8 preparations he gave to nurture our soils and farms. So I'll give you 2 things. It's quite heavy. I'll give you a few horns just to observe and ponder about them. Yeah? And now, guys, I would like to pass you on actually the final product. So this final product it's not chocolate, it's cardamom. This is, it's like don't eat it or try anyway. This is the final product, the 500. So yeah, this is, I'll describe it after. I'll have to let you know a bit. This is caramel actually, which is being put in the horns and matured. So it's a bit sticky, but this is only caramel, right? Just don't keep your nails off. Yeah. So this is called the preparation 500. So it is a manure concentrate that you can feel, which is transformed into a potent conditioner for soil and plants. So it is a living substance still, which helps building soil structure, stimulates microbial activity and the formation of humus, which is greatly improving as well the absorption and retention of water in the soils. So this is actually the foundation stone of biodynamics. Whoever will jump on this journey will start to use this beautiful preparation. Yeah. So I'd like to discuss first, because you had a look to it, and let you know how is it made. Yeah, it is made. Sorry, it's not rocket science, but so we need 3 things. First, the cow horn, like you've seen. So this is because we want to use the motherly energies out of the cows, and the horns are seen as something very spiritual to the cows, especially back in India, because 80% actually of their blood is streaming through in and out through the horns, kind of like filtering and processing everything out of the body, and as well it helps with the digestive system of the cows. Yeah, so this is something quite important for the cows, which nowadays we kind of. I'll explain something after about this. The second one, we need fresh cardamom. Very important, fresh cardamom. Not from a few days ago, but very fresh as we can. From organically or biodynamically treated cows. And the last one, just a topsoil. A beautiful topsoil, and where the horns will actually be buried. So the process is actually easy. You just put the cardamom in the horns, the fresh cardamom in the horn. Then you will bring the horns, you will bury the horns 30 to 40 centimeters down from the topsoil. And you will put them in such a way that the tip of the horn is sticking out to the universe, yeah? Bringing down these formative forces. And at the meantime, on the other side, we don't want all the rain and the worms going in the horn, so directly to eat this cow manure. So hence we put it downwards like this, yeah? I just would like to explain briefly something about the horns and everything. I would like to touch upon a point for us, actually animal lovers. Biodynamic reuses everything as a resource by wisely and conscientiously following and acknowledging all the cycle of life of each being. So biodynamics does not encourage in any sense the dehorning of the young cows. I feel it's important here to talk about it, as it is actually commonly done, nowadays all around. But we would actually let the cow live and pass away naturally, and whereby the horns then will be collected. And these horns can be reused for years anyway. So you don't need that many, and you can reuse them for 5 to 10 years. So I guess this is a very important point. We're not here trying to dehorn the cows and go around. We are trying to enrich every life processes. So the current horrendous practices of the animals in the world are, like I said, by no means close to any biodynamic practices and principles. So now I described the process of the 500 already. So when they are buried, then what we believe and feel about the Earth is that the planet actually takes a deep, deep breath in autumn, yeah? As everything goes to the ground and slowly into dormancy, yeah? So spring is the time actually of the seasonal exhalation, yeah? Often seen and described as the burst of life, whereby all the spiritualities manifest again. So this is why the homes are actually buried in autumn, yeah? And they are left under the ground, maturing and receiving the ordering forces of the cosmos for this 6 months. Because believe it or not, but this is during winter that the ground and the soil are actually the richest and the most spiritual. What we see in spring is just coming out of the ground, but this is during winter that we are building this resilience. So, and receiving these formative forces. So this is why we bury this home during winter, to receive all of this and then reuse it. Yeah. So, like I said, they are dug out around spring, the beginning of spring, fully matured as you just touch it. It's very interesting, right? Out of just cardon, fresh cardon, what it can become after maturation. And yeah, and then they are ready to be used, but usually we use them around autumn. So it's like you have to wait for the following year, funny enough. So they can be stored very easily in a dry clay pots or in a dry area anywhere. So yeah, applying. So we're about to start the experiment actually soon. So now I'd like to talk about the application of this preparation. Once you have prepared it, now it's time to apply it. And this is where it plays its biggest role. So to start with, we always take a stainless steel bucket. So here's an experiment. I couldn't find 7 of them, but yeah. Because we are playing with very refined and delicate energies coming out of the cosmos. So we want everything to be perfectly clean, yeah, immaculate actually. Following, and this again very, very important, the buckets have to be filled up with rainwater or very, very pristine water. Even treated or UV treated water, yes, but rainwater is really important. Actually, by the way, it makes me think there is something very important about, very interesting about rainwater. We always put down all this mercury, arsenic, you know, all these sprays that we're putting around the ground. And I guess we have to remember that this is all about the quantities, because the rain contains all of them. The rain contains arsenic, mercury, and all these nasty ones, but in the right quantities for the soil. But of course, if you spray a whole paddock out of mercury, good luck. But yeah, it's very, very important. So this is what we are trying to bring into this preparation as well. Yeah. So then, following, like I said, the bucket is filled up with water, and then the person having the cardon in their hand, in the 7 groups, if you want, could crumble it down in the bucket, wherever it is. Yeah. You can even put your head in, and you crumble it down. Yeah. So now we can start the experiment, but the experiment is, I mean, for today, but this is the practice that we do on biodynamic farms. So the last step is to firmly stir the water. So I guess the person that had the cardon, can step in and start. So the way to do it is to stir firmly, yeah, to potentize and dynamize the preparation inside of it, yeah, to bring the cosmic formative forces from the cosmos. So we want to stir firmly and create a vortex as much as we can. So the vortex has to be created and potentially reaching all the way down to the bucket. So you stir for a bit firmly, and then after, whenever you feel actually, you can stir on the other side. Whenever you feel, yeah, every 15 seconds or every minute as you wish. And this actually will break the vortex, which is bringing a sudden chaos, a tiny chaos, allowing these energies to come down actually, in order to recreate a new beginning. Yeah? And the last bit, we usually do this for an hour. So good luck everyone. Maybe not today. So usually we do this for an hour, but whenever you feel like, just take turns. Whenever, because it's, to be honest, it's quite tiring. So at home we do it for an hour, but just take turns here. I guess it's nice to have the big numbers and just stir as I will talk, or just feel as well. It's nice to feel it. Yeah. So yeah, meanwhile, usually when we stir, we will have to stir for 1 hour, and we try not to stop too much. We really want to dynamize, and even on the scientific level, to bring the oxygen. We are uneven in the water as well. You know, we all know what we call the dead water. Water not moving. So in the meantime, we're actually unevening the water inside while protecting the preparation. Right? So we do this for 1 hour, to bring forth as much as we can. Finally, guys, there is a big something important I'd like to mention about biodynamics. We are all going through nowadays a moon calendar, actually. So our people in the past, our farmers, ancestors, used to have it all in their house by looking at the sky, observing, doing this seed meditation, looking at the plants every morning, every night, feeling what is lacking. They would have it all here. Yeah. And this is not long ago, 150 years ago. But nowadays, with our intellectual era, we have got a biodynamic calendar, a moon calendar, yeah? So it's showing a bit about all the, it's mainly about the moon. So when are the descending, ascending moon, waning, waxing, all the conjunctions, it's all important for the plating, for this preparation. So we always look at these conditions before to apply 500. Yeah? We don't do it randomly, it's according to the ordering of the cosmos, and then we apply. Of course, it doesn't hurt to be out of this a bit, but it's better to be aligned with the cosmos. So I guess I'll pass it on actually, have a look. Yes, it's a bit of a headache to read at first, but just observe and see. Huh? Yeah, I can talk about it. So the best conditions to use this, the best conditions to use these preparations is during the descending moon. Descending moon. Well, this one is hard to explain. Descending moon. It's not waxing and waning. So waning moon is when you go from new moon to full moon, and waxing from full moon to new moon. Descending moon, descending moon. The best way to describe it, I believe. Let's say the moon rises over there, and it will set on the other side. It will have a certain angle with a certain angle with the horizon, like what they call it, I forgot the name, the elliptic. So it will have an angle. Yeah, the arc will have an angle with the elliptic. So the descending is when this arc, the angle of this arc is decreasing. So the moon, the first day will go like this, the second day like this, you know? It's becoming more horizontal. So this is when the moon is descending. Why? Because this is bringing all the forces down, all the water and this preparation even deeper. So we want to use these influences and forces of the moon, which we know anyway with the tides as well, right? Full tide, low tide. So we're trying to bring this preparation as deep as possible. So descending, which is very good. Then, then full moon, new moon, it doesn't matter really. It's more the descending moon. Yeah.
Florian,
So,
how many times per autumn is?
yeah, I was about to mention it actually, but no, good question, very good question. How many times? If you don't have time or it's a bit like tiring or blah blah whatsoever, life carries on. Twice, only twice, in autumn or autumn winters is alright. But first in autumn, at the very beginning, you will apply it. You know, the first days of autumn, fall, everything. And then at the end of winter. So the beginning and after. So you carry 6 months. And of course then the more the merrier. The more you will apply it, the more we will bring forth these forces. Yeah. So but at least twice, I would say really twice. We do it at least twice. If not more, but yeah, twice. Yeah, I was about to come after. Okay, let's go. So to apply the preparation after this 1 hour stir, we would take, we can take brushes, but this is not the best. What we take usually is tree branches, like manuka branches are really good for this. And you will soak the manuka branch inside, you carry your bucket, and you just flick. You flick it on the lens. Yeah, it's like a blessing. Yeah. So you are really flicking droplets, and this is where I wanted to come actually, which is very interesting. We only need 25 grams, only 25 grams of this preparation in 12 liters of water for 1 acre. Only. We don't need much, and this is the magic of biodynamics. Yeah? So we are actually using abundant resources, and it does not need much actually on the lens. We could say it's kind of homeopathically regenerating the lens. So it's only droplets that we are spraying on the lens. Yeah? So it doesn't need much. On average, it depends where you like the work, but let's say a big average, 25 grams of preparation in a 12 liter bucket, 12 liters of water. Yeah. And this will do 1 acre, because you'll see with a manuka branch, you just take up droplets and you just go around and you flick it, you know, with so much love and compassion. But yeah, this is very good. Yeah.
Can I ask you, is the point of this application just spreading the nutrients and the energy, or is mainly to spread the energy?
Yeah, it's more for the energies actually. We want to stimulate the energies under the ground. So it brings back the biodiversity, the worms, attracting them back around. Yes. And then of course you want to carry on with organic practices always. If you apply this on the spray area, I don't know. But I'm not sure that will work all the time. To carry on. But this is a big foundation at the beginning to start with, go organic and biodynamic. This is really good. We are trying to get the biodiversity, even birds, you know, because we play with life forces, yes, life energies. So this is what it brings back. If you carry on bringing compost with all that's a good amount of nitrogen or anything like this in the compost, then that will spread around as energies. So this is why even this one, you don't need to have full buckets all around, only droplets. And then it's another realm. You spread the energies around. Yeah. So this is how it works.
Second question, maybe it's for the end.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to have 2 methods of 2 areas in one area, treat one area in this way, and the other area just with manure, fertilizer, check?
Yes. Yeah, so the question is, have you ever tried to experiment on 2 different paddocks?
Same area, same
area,
soil,
yeah.
seed, yeah.
On different paddocks, on the same paddock, sorry. So I'll let you know now. We have tried, some people have tried extensively on the same patch, this, and many different practices. You have biodynamics, then only organic spray. You have so many practices on the same patch, yeah. And then they grew like the same veggies, same vegetables, same everything for a year or 2 actually. That was quite intensive, yeah. And they have noticed over time. It's funny, it's not at the beginning actually. And like every changes in our life, it's not always at the beginning that we see the results, you know, when you go to gym. It takes a year. So it's not at the beginning. One has to be patient. It can take even, I guess I'm going much forward to the talk, but for some people it took 4 years. And over time, the quality of the veggies is coming forward. And it takes care of itself, reseeding, regrowing, that it takes care of itself, and the quality of the nutrients in your body is much better as well, much more fulfilling, much more nourishing. But the first year you wouldn't see it, even spray, hardly, very little spray, hardly. You won't see the difference. But after 2 years, 5 years, and especially 10 years, here you see a massive difference here. So you got that data, scientific experiments, things like this. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, yeah.
With the cow horns, where can you say buy them or get them?
Yeah, it's a good question here. Where can we get the cow horns, and is it still good if it's coming from the cow horn that we have killed and had suffered and everything? And nowadays, it's a good question. This is very challenging because all the cows are being dehorned. You know, for the farmers and not to fight against each other. But we know the story a bit, so it's very hard. So the people that have actually the horns usually get it from the meat industry or some organic farmers. Fortunately, we got some farmers letting the cows, you know, growing their horns, and we get them from them. And luckily, we can reuse them for 5 years, 5 to 10 years. So it comes into cycles. Yeah. So luckily, but sometimes, unfortunately, because of these practices out there, we have to go through the meat industry. But if that wouldn't be so predominant, we wouldn't need. At some stage, we were either relying on organic farmers, but now we're having even less farmers, so this is becoming hard.
And so with the trauma of the cows suffering,
Yeah. Yeah, always. Actually, I was about to come to this as well. But yeah, for the no, it's very good. I'll just stop the bit for people to feel. Yeah, for the trauma being carried in the cow horns or anything being carried through. Yes. So what we try to bring as well through this stirring, you know, when not just only stirring and it's water, it's fun and everything. What counts is really the intention we bring, and this is, I guess, the main thing we can bring here. The good and positive intention. Like anyone having a trauma, you know, this is what you want to bring. You don't want to be a superhero and be a saver, and it doesn't work like this. You bring your positivity, you bring your alignment and your encouragement. So you bring all these intentions inside, and ultimately, hopefully, who knows, you know, who can measure this? But we had good results all around the country and the world anyway. But yeah, there's not much we can. I guess there is a lot we can do, but we're not too much aware. And some people are. Clairvoyant people, or I don't know. But yeah. So yeah, but unfortunately we have to go through this because of the way the world is being managed with the cows. And, you know, it's very, very sad actually. But, yeah. We're here. We're trying to bring the picture forward. Yeah, we're trying to bring back these practices. Let the cows be happy, growing horns. You know, just nurture them, love them. When they pass away, this is life. You know, but who knows? They might come back around another time. You know, and then with the carcasses, you just make the most of it with the horns. But yeah, we are really trying to bring again this love and compassion into biodynamics, through biodynamics to the world. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe we can carry on a bit. So, like I said, this one was one of the preparations out of the 8 preparations that Rudolf brought. So this is one of them, and the main foundation. So I didn't want to bring or talk about all of them today because this is a lot today, really a lot about the preparations, and it's just so much. So this is, I guess, enough as a beginning in a big foundation. And look, it doesn't need much. You only need water and carbon and horns, yeah. But if you got the horns, then it doesn't need much, and you only need 25 grams. I mean, this is nothing to spread 1 acre, 50 grams for 2 acres, and you carry on. You got people doing it on lands and lands, on acres and acres, you know, like stirring hard, but you can do it. Yeah.
Specifically cow manure, can you do it without a manure, or is there?
Yeah. It's a very good question as well. Is it only? Can we only do it with cow manure or other manure, you know, from sheep or horse? When you study a bit about the different type of manures, like horse or chicken and everything, the most balanced manure is cow dung. And this is the one we put into compost as well. For example, the chicken manure has a lot of potash. It's more potassium than, you know. And all the different manures have really something predominant. But the cow dung is the balance. It has a bit of everything. And this is exactly what we want to bring back to the land. A bit of everything. Yeah? It's spreading this. So yes, you can. I believe for like, I don't want to be extreme, like only carbon. Some people would, I won't. I guess we have to remain flexible and open and play with what we have around, especially in different countries. So I would strongly advise it if you only have sheep or anything. Yes, just do it. Some people have done it. It has worked, you know, it was massive and spread it. And, but yeah. Yeah.
Case nowadays that can be with us nowadays, given that you have some context growing, is it kind of capture to get some specific, like is it still okay?
Yes, it's in the case. You mean if the cow dung is still the most balanced? Yes.
Doesn't matter what they eat.
No. Yeah. It's for anything, for any paddocks, any veggies, anything, even monoculture. Like it's like the most balanced for anything you would apply it to, because this is the main foundation. So it's always so there's no.
Is it due to the cows, the way they digest?
Yeah, we can come back to this. Yeah, this is due to the very high digestive system, having the full stomachs, and usually when they keep the horns as well. Or something I like to mention here, which is very interesting, is something, it's a personal insight, but let's see, out of different people. The 80% of the blood is going through the horns, and it's filtering many things in the body. And the horns are playing a big role in the digestive system, a massive role. And nowadays, it's very interesting that we all talk about the methane coming out, which we didn't have before, actually. So we're starting to refeed differently in grains and soy and anything to the cows, which is actually not the picture. Cows are eating grass. Naturally, they will go for grass. And then we're trying to feed them differently to try to solve the problem. But I realize it will be coming from the moon. They are already home. And this is playing a massive role. So yeah, this is because they have these small stomachs and this big digestive system, which is much more advanced than any of us. Out of the grass, they can process the main protein. The main protein is found in grass, actually, which comes back to the veggies and stuff. But they are so powerful. You know how strong they are. And they only eat grass because the digestive system is so powerful that they can break it down until they extract the grass, the protein. So they eat out of grass, but ultimately, look at this. So yeah, this is fine. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Wow, this one is a good question because myself, I'm not a farmer at that time, so I don't know much. Yeah, this one is, I could answer something, but I don't pretend I know. I don't want to say something like which is a mistake or which is not right. Or maybe, does anyone know how many cows we could put on an acre, something organic? One, yeah, I guess it's one per acre, yeah? It would be, yeah, I thought one or two actually, yeah. Yeah, it would be one per acre, yeah. So, yeah, fair enough. So this is how much land, yeah, we could need for this cow. Yeah. To be loved and treated with compassion. Everything there. Yeah.
So this mixture as a generic mixture for the soil or as a preparation to grow a specific type of vegetables or crops?
It's for, the question was over there. I didn't answer it properly then. Thank you. It's for anything, even for the cows, because the cows are in biodynamics or organically will feed out of the grass. So even applying it, 100% go hard on it. You are even nurturing the life of your animals. They're going through it, they eat it, they just love it. And this, we even have nowadays, it's funny, but like biodynamic cows. It's like, wow, beautiful! And we get the cow dung out of them, so then it comes back. Because they eat this grass, you know, that you have, where you have sprayed the 500, and then you reuse the cow dung to make the preparation. So it all comes in cycles. So for anything you would do, for any net, even here actually, if people are motivated, we can go and spray the lot. But we'll see. I'd love to do it actually. People will ask what it is. So what are you doing? Blessing the net. So nothing specific. It's very broad, and this is what we like. It doesn't need much, and it applies to everything. On an energetic level again. Yeah. Anyway, wow, we got carried away with the question. It's beautiful. Yeah. Oh yeah, there is a quote which I like personally. I like to share it. That which secures life from exhaustion lies in the unseen world, deep at the roots of things. And this is what we're trying to do with biodynamics. We're trying to bridge with this like unseen world and bring back about this formative process, into the growth, and tackling down the problem from the roots. This is why we started with history. We want to understand what was wrong, so we want to come back to the roots always. And biodynamic is going very deep on this, So I could give a few more examples. Actually, we talked about biodynamics. Horepa, which is in Hawke's Bay, the institution taking care of people with special needs, is actually having a cheesery, which is quite famous. So for people fancying cheese, this cheese is winning awards every year. This year they won 6 awards again. Two gold awards, 3 silver and 2 bronze. So for people fancying cheese, But yeah, it shows about the quality of the cheese and even of the milk coming out of the cow, So it's quite spectacular, and this is every single year. Every single year they are winning more awards. It's just beautiful to see, This is the way it comes back, Otherwise, back in France, a lot. This is insane actually, back in France, in New Zealand and back in America as well. Wine growers are going one by one. It's increasing a lot, one by one, biodynamics. Because the quality of the grapes and the wine has been renowned now. People know about it, talk about it. I'm not much aware about what's happening in France yet, but I heard through friends and people, and it's just growing. And I hope that will come in New Zealand. We are trying in Hawke's Bay, a few people are getting there. But it has really been noticed. And less work, less everything. We just pray and do your organic practices still. The people feel much more, much more nurtured and I don't want to put it, but like having even this well-being and this mental health, going forward alongside with, so they get more energy, it comes back to the lens. There is even a human and internal process which is happening while we are doing all of this, setting up the intentions, gatherings, making circles. Look at this, it's beautiful. Connecting together and discussing it, So it's a lot of aspects behind, but people are really going really hard on it back in France. Actually, I'm quite surprised, but good news, not only for biodynamics. I'm not trying to sell biodynamics, but to come back really on this kind of folk and beautiful environment of being together and co-creating together, loving one another, getting to know one another, and not comparing each other, embracing the qualities and the flaws, just being, And this is what we want to bring really deeply. This is what is really the deep intention behind biodynamic, to bring back this compassion, this love, this way to be together, and not back home on the computer and blah blah. Just really bringing communities, and usually it brings the kids. And this is the good news. When the kids are here, you're always right. I realized through life at a personal level, through anything we do, if you can allow the kids to do it, I believe you're doing well. You are nurturing your inner child. Are kids smoking? They're not. Are they drinking? They're not. When you start to do this, what's happening? The fasting workshop was very interesting. Your body health is just coming back. He said at the fasting, Jason Sean Bennett, very beautiful, a Kiwi person, he fasted a lot. He said that the first cause of death in the world actually is because of high blood pressure. Think of all the diseases related to it, right? The high blood pressure. And what are smoking or the alcohol or even coffee, like he said, coffee in the morning, it's accelerating your blood pressure. So just interesting to attune with the kids. So it brings back the kids and they love it. They're stirring harder than anyone. They're just going on, it's like, oh wow, what's happening? And then they spray, they run, it's just, it gives you a lot of empowerment and a lot of love, even tears sometimes we see this, and the kids are just playing. Why learning? Deeply learning about the lands, about the cows. They ask so many questions, they're the best teachers in the world. To be honest, they ask brilliant questions, and then we do it together. And usually, maybe not today, maybe I didn't say it was a potluck, but we're having a potluck, and we are nourishing the kids, nourishing ourselves with beautiful, biodynamic, organic food. So we're trying to embrace, different parts of biodynamics. It's not only gardening and farming. This is a way to acknowledge us all as beings and just being together, uniting everything in every single living being together. So like I said, biodynamics is really the bigger picture of encompassing every living being. The minerals, like the stones we got some here, the plants, the animals, and the humans. If you can bring back all of this back to your farm or to your house, that would be good news. It brings just the stability and balance. Yeah, nature just takes care of itself. Without us, the animals were in the wilderness, and nature grew. It was just prolific and beautiful, nature, magic. Yeah. So this is what we're trying to bring back as humans, being here, and with our intellect, our egos. But we can manage it. We can go through this, yeah, and make a step forward in this beautiful human consciousness that we all carry together. Yeah. It's not only about the humans, like I said, but this broader consciousness to move forward and keep on evolving. Yeah. So evolving is up and down, but maybe we can have a tendency of going up. Yeah. Slightly down. But anyway. So this is what biodynamics is really trying to bring, and this is coming from the heart. And when you meet these people around being into biodynamics, it's going very deep, very quickly. It's so many principles and values they are carrying. It's quite spectacular, and I believe this is what we experience in this festival. Everyone is just so beautiful, so gorgeous, so supportive, looking in the eyes of one another, listening. Yeah, the bad side, the good side, nurturing. We see each other, we give a hug again. Yeah, it's just bringing this togetherness and this oneness which we want to bring back, like in the cosmos, back down to the earth. Yeah. So they are really beautiful people, beautiful communities. So I encourage you to go meet them, see them. Yeah. Don't know what time is it, by the way, but okay, we still have 15 minutes. Yeah, so it brings me a bit to the end. I guess I've shared a bit of the love. It's been a bit of a mix, but it's much more natural, right? It was much more organic than reading my notes, so thank you. People, I just would like to pass on maybe these beautiful flyers made by our friend here, Laura, recording as well, thank you. So, yeah, if you want some, and I guess you've got Facebook, Instagram, and the scans on it, and a few explanations, like I just explained it. So I don't know if I can pass it around, or if you, you took one, or you can come in there anyway. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, not much to add, I guess.
Where can we get the preparation?
Oh yeah,
We're not making it ourselves.
Good questions. You can, but yeah, now you can get it in Hawke's Bay. Actually, we've got someone taking care of really the making of all these preparations. Many farmers are doing it around the country, but this person is carrying a lot, and we've got the biodynamic group as well running and helping. So you can go online on the flyer. To be honest, if you type in Biodynamics New Zealand, you cannot go wrong. We are the only ones. So, and all around the world, you just type in and you'll find it, and then you can order the preparations. You can send them an email. They are quite supportive, so it's all online. You'll find it here.
Is there still time to do this?
Oh yeah, we are right on it. It's fall. Here we go. Now we'll go hard on it. We have done it last week already. Now this is the good time. Just take some and apply it and feel. I'm not saying it's gonna work or not. No, this is not what I'm saying at all. Apply it and feel it. We all have to feel it on our own journey. If it doesn't work for yourself, it's fine. There is no good or bad, right or wrong. We're just trying to characterize what we're trying to bring to the lens. If it works, perfect and beautiful. If it doesn't work, there's so many other practices. But yeah, so anytime. And I wanted to say as well, maybe which can be interesting. We've got even a certification. Some farmers are Demeter certified, actually. And Demeter is the name of the certification. Yeah. And so we even have like a brand in the world, in the label. So we got a few Demeter certified growers in Hawke's Bay and all around the country. So it's really going to this step forward, and these people are applying all the preparations all the time. And you got people coming, making sure, how do we call this? Making sure that they're applying the preparations, inspectors, and they will ask the quantities, when, why, where are you growing. So yeah, it's becoming coming to the next stage. It's really happening. It's beautiful to see. Yeah. So I wanted to say as well, So this is happening all around the world, really worldwide, yeah. And in New Zealand, this is still growing and coming. I guess it has grown, but it's still coming as well. So we got biodynamic groups, regional biodynamic groups. We got festivals, we got events, we got gatherings. So and we got a conference coming. If you want, and this one is so timely with this workshop. This conference will be talking about all the preparations, how to apply it, what is it made of, when. It's the whole picture around the preparations. And this will be held in June, the 11th and 12th of June, online. Because of this worldwide situation, we were not here. So it's online, yeah? So anyone can attend. Thank you. Bye. Yeah. So, yeah. Otherwise, any other questions? Oh, my goodness! Yeah.
What is the biodynamic approach to invasive species that you might have on your land? Invasive grasses, blackberries, things like that?
Yeah. Beautiful. It's a good question. You are making up again my presentation. I forgot to talk about this. The invasive, the agriculture course as well. It's very deep. It's a lot to take. This is only a few lines. What we're doing, only a few lines in this book, like a paragraph, I guess. It has given many incentives and many directions towards the invasive plants and towards anything, actually, any processing on the land, the pest, so how to make a compost, and all the hidden forces we're trying to bring. It's going very deep, not only the nutrients, but the formative forces that we are bringing for this kind of weeds of growing. Usually biodynamics love the weed. We just love them. They bring so much to the land. Dandelion, all of them.
I love dandelions. I have blackberry and I have kikuyu grass.
Oh yeah, and this one is a big one. So kikuyu and blackberry, to be honest, I haven't found anyone who found a solution. It's like just go hard on it, bring the kids. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, they would be. I would just say to cut it back and keep on applying biodynamics, so organic practices. Keep on growing.
I was just trying to bring things in and work with it. I mean, the good thing about the kikuyu is I'm planting trees, and over the summer it's very dry, it keeps everything moist. So as long as every once in a while I pull it back, it's keep it moist. It is all entwined in the roots and stuff. So it's just hoping as things grew, I put more things in, and it just sort of retreats. It's done its job, and maybe.
I believe as you regrow that will, and that will come back, you can bring the trees, like I said, the whole picture of the trees and different type of herbs as well. All of this are some types that we can be able to grow because these herbs will take up the injuries. So I guess we are going a bit more beyond biodynamics, it's more organic practices. But this one is the last question for any grower, even biodynamics. So, before, because people are leaving one by one, I'll take the question. I brought biodynamic features. So the people are leaving, oh my goodness! So you can, the bucket is so heavy, I guess. You just come guys, come whenever, or before you leave maybe, just take the phone. There was a question somewhere. Thank you. Embrace it.
But what is the difference between similar sort of?
Let's say it's it's sort of similar. I wouldn't say